Welcome back to OtakuDaiKun. Dai-chan here, and you are watching the Waifu Files, the series where we discover and celebrate anime through their lovely ladies. Today we have a special treat. One of my all-time favorite anime is Violet Evergarden, and it has plenty of gorgeous, elegant, charming, and admirable waifu to shine a spotlight on. KyoAni pulled out all the stops, making this series sparkle beautifully. Mind you, this video will be based off that anime series and its films. I haven't read the light novels it's based on, so any details there won't be reflected here. Even without that though, we've got 22 waifu to look at, so let's get started! Violet Evergarden tells the story of Violet, a young girl raised to be a merciless soldier. Initially lacking a name, she was discovered on a deserted island by Dietfried Bougainvillea. His disgusting crewmates attempted to have their way with her, only to discover her vicious strength. Predator became prey as she slaughtered all but Dietfried, whom she didn't see as a threat. Rather, she viewed Dietfried as a figure of authority, obeying his command to kill whatever he pointed at. This was her language, with no words or understanding of civilization. Dietfried found Violet to be an amazing tool for war, and decided to present her as a gift to his brother, Major Gilbert Bougainvillea. Gilbert, unlike his brother, immediately acknowledged Violet's humanity. While she was an unofficial member of Gilbert's unit, he made sure to teach her literacy, and even more important, how to make her own decisions. He did everything he could to give her a will, to not simply follow orders. He even named her Violet, hoping she would grow up to be as beautiful as the flower. As a gift, Gilbert encouraged Violet to choose something from a street vendor. She picked out an emerald brooch, admiring how it reminded her of his beautiful eyes. It became her most prized possession, a testament to her growing will. Despite this, Violet remained an instrumental asset to Gilbert's army and the nation of Leidenschaftlich. She struggled to comprehend the difference between her affections and her duty. This became clear during their final operation, where she and Gilbert were horribly injured by an explosion, and as she tried to drag him to safety, he declared his love for her. The two were buried in debris, and Violet woke up in the hospital on her own. Her precious Gilbert was presumed dead, and without him to give her orders, she struggled to adapt to peacetime. She was sent to live with Tiffany Evergarden, a woman who had lost her own child in the war. Even though Violet was adopted, taking on the name Evergarden, she couldn't adjust to life at Tiffany's mansion. Instead, Gilbert's friend from the military, Claudia Hodgins, took Violet under his wing. He runs a postal service, where beautiful women known as Auto Memories dolls write letters on behalf of various clients, from the illiterate to the rich and famous. Violet became fascinated by these dolls and their ability to transform clients' deepest feelings into words. Hoping to understand what Gilbert meant when he said, "I love you," Violet becomes an Auto Memories doll at Claudia's company. She learns on the job the full breadth of emotions she's been unable to express. It's as if the name doll was crafted primarily for her, as her war injuries have left her with 2 prosthetic arms. Her formal and robotic demeanor surprises her clients, but after spending time together, Violet always figures out the perfect words to convey her clients' feelings. This is also that one day she can convey her own feelings for Gilbert. After years on the job, she clings to hope that Gilbert is still alive, and she can reciprocate his love of her own free will. Perhaps her greatest challenge is coming to terms with the burning guilt of killing so many people. Regardless of the circumstances, regardless of her upbringing and naivete, she still took many lives, and so she works diligently to prevent further conflict. Violet is such a profound woman I can't help but love. She's one of my certified favorite waifu, as well as one of my all-time favorite characters in fiction. Even after Auto Memories dolls become a thing of the past, her legacy and the love she spreads continue to reverberate throughout future generations. Violet has a number of gorgeous colleagues at Claudia's CH Postal Company. One of them is Iris Cannary, a country girl from the village of Kazali. When it comes to writing letters, she's an amateur, having just recently graduated from an Auto Memories doll's training school. Even though it's a difficult profession for her, Iris works diligently toward this career, aiming to stay in the city, far away from her hometown. This is because she once found the courage to confess to her childhood friend Eamon Snow, only to be rejected. Since then, she's been focused on her job, and is frustrated that her parents don't seem to take her seriously. They expect Iris to one day give up on her dreams, settle back down in Kazali, and get married to a local man. For her birthday, they deceive Iris by hiring her to write a letter under the pretense of meeting with various suitors. Her frustration prompts her to write her best letter yet, finally convincing her parents by expressing herself in writing. Like Violet, Iris is named after the flower, many of which can be seen blooming gloriously on the way to her village. Her fiery attitude and passion for her job give off a bit of a tomboy vibe, and I can't help but declare her a certified favorite. She has lofty goals of becoming a famous doll, and getting stuck doing mundane tasks around the office discourages her. It's exciting to see the spark in her eye when a meaningful gig finally comes her way. Iris's closest friend at CH Postal is Erica Brown, and she's the polar opposite in terms of appeal. She's quiet and shy, traits that don't really translate well to dealing with clients. As such, she's stuck doing clerical work, even though she too dreams of writing emotional works. I didn't actually know this, but she's anime exclusive, never appearing in the light novel. Although subtle, I feel she blends in well with the rest of the cast. Eventually, she discovers her true passion isn't specifically to write letters, but rather plays. To that end, she takes on a position assisting the famous playwright Oscar Webster. I appreciate that, despite being envious of Violet and her peers, Erica treats her rivals with kindness. Overall, she exudes the appeal of a timid bookworm. The most bold and widely requested doll at CH Postal Company is Cattleya Baudelaire. She's also a veteran, joining up with Claudia Hodgins from the onset. Her full-bodied figure, dress, and confidence demonstrate an experience with romance. She was even a showgirl who entertained off-duty soldiers. Naturally then, her clients flock to her for love advice, trusting in her to deliver letters of passion. Ironically, when she first came to the city, she was lonely. Her parents were terrible to her, prompting her to run away. Hodgins actually took her in, giving her a place to belong. It makes sense then that Cattleya is very fond of him. She enjoys spending time with him, as well as teasing him whenever the chance arrives. While she admires his charisma, she's willing to stand up to him whenever he fails to understand a woman's feelings. She may not look it, but Cattleya also used to be a martial artist and is capable of defending herself from pushy dudes. I can only assume this is demonstrated better in the novels. Cattleya has a long-standing rivalry with another veteran employee, Benedict Blue, with both of them clinging to some unmentioned past grudge. For as much as they feud with each other, though, the two co-workers do care about each other. They just express it in roundabout ways. Gotta say, she's another certified favorite. I wish more people would come to work dressed like her. She's drop-dead gorgeous without letting that harm her professionality. The Violet Evergarden film, Eternity in the Auto-Memory Doll, introduces Amy and Taylor Bartlett. These two girls grew up in poverty, struggling to survive against the cold and starvation. When Amy first found Taylor, she was shivering under a thin blanket on the side of the street. Noticing she had been abandoned, Amy decided to take Taylor in and treat her as a sister, even though that meant adopting another mouth to feed. The two just barely carved out a happy life for each other, but that life was interrupted when strange men came to their one-room shack. Apparently, Amy was born as the illegitimate daughter of an aristocrat from the prestigious York family. Suddenly needing her as the family's heiress, the family took Amy away to attend an all-girls academy. She complied with this, in exchange for Taylor being put in a nice orphanage. Still, years passed, making their previous bond all the more distant. Amy, taking on the name Isabella York, was expected to reject her crude past and behave like a noble lady. Violet, for her composed grace and discipline, was hired to serve as Amy's handmaiden. This naturally put the two of them at odds, as Amy resisted her new lifestyle. Even so, Violet has a way of warming up to people, and before long, the two girls become close friends. Amy learns aristocratic manners, while Violet serves her like a gorgeous gentleman knight. They shine on the ballroom floor together, wowing the other students. As a token of their friendship, Violet agrees to reach out to Taylor, writing a letter on Amy's behalf. She actually writes 2 letters, one from Amy and another from herself, instructing Taylor to come find her if ever in need. Years later, Taylor does just that, visiting the CH Postal Company. The letters that Violet wrote brought her so much happiness that she now wants to spread that kind of joy as a delivery girl. The company shows Taylor the ropes, giving her a taste of what the industry is like. They even help her track down Amy, who at this point has been married off to another noble. Again, through the power of letters, Taylor is able to contact her sister, bridging the social gap between them. No matter how distant, their bond is strong. Violet's other contact in high society is Charlotte Eberfreya Flugel, Princess of the Kingdom of Drossel. She was raised primarily by the family's maid, Alberta, who compassionately taught her discipline. Alberta's duty has always been to turn the young princess into a proper lady, and that goal is nearing its conclusion. On Charlotte's 10th birthday, the kingdom celebrated by pairing her up with various suitors. This upset her, as her family cared more about her marriage than her. When she went to cry by herself in the garden, she met Damien Balder Flugel, who comforted her and told her she could cry as long as she wanted to. Ever since then, Charlotte did everything in her power to set up diplomatic relations with Flugel so that she could one day marry Damien. Her wish is eventually granted, and both kingdoms advertise this marriage through a series of love letters. Violet is hired to write Charlotte's letters, while Cattleya writes for Damien. The two dolls realize this arrangement is too stiff and formal, and agree to let the bride and groom speak their true feelings. In turn, this captures the public's hearts even more. This culminates in both the happiest and saddest day of Charlotte's life. For as delighted as she is to marry Damien, she must also bid farewell to Alberta, whom she'd been reliant on all these years. The whole thing is bittersweet in the best way. Clara Magnolia is a single mother raising her daughter Anne. She desperately yearns to be there for Anne, but knows her time is limited by a terminal illness. Thus, to ensure the two can connect years after her death, Clara commissions the writing of 50 letters, which can be delivered to Anne each year on her birthday. Ironically, this Herculean effort takes even more precious time, and while Violet works with Clara to write these letters, poor Anne remains in the dark. Once Clara's intentions finally bear fruit, however, Anne is blessed to know that not even death can pull them apart. For the next 50 years, Anne grows up, gets married, and makes her own family, all while receiving encouragement from her caring mother. It's one of the saddest, yet most beautiful things I've ever seen. If you can sit through this without crying, I fear for you. In Violet Evergarden the movie, we get to meet Anne's granddaughter, Daisy Magnolia. When she learns about her grandma's 50 letters, Daisy becomes fascinated by the history of Auto Memories dolls. This has her visit the CH Postal Company in Leiden, which has been converted into a museum. After discovering Violet's exploits long ago, Daisy decides to write a letter of her own. Difficult, time-consuming jobs have left Daisy's parents unable to make time for family visits. The three of them got into an argument over it, but through a letter, Daisy is able to convey to her mom and dad how grateful she is to them. Needless to say, you can't quite capture that same meaning in an email. The old lady working at that museum is Nerine, a receptionist for the CH Postal Company, who's still around 60 years after it closed. There's also Lilian, a fellow receptionist. Very little is said about them in the anime, but they're still very pretty. You'd be surprised how many great waifu don't even get Wikipedia pages. Blasphemy. One of Violet's first clients is a woman named Bridget, who's trying to play hard to get for a man she likes. She doesn't mean what she says, and an inexperienced Violet takes her literally, ending in a total disaster. People struggle with this even now, trying to drop hints rather than be honest with their feelings. When Violet is first taking classes to be an Auto Memories doll, she makes friends with some of her classmates. They aren't shown all that much, but there's Iberis Conaway and Bluebell Unoa, both of whom get jobs in the industry. Violet's direct partner at school is Luculia Marlborough. She was a child during the same war Violet fought in. Back then, her older brother Spencer was deployed at Leiden's Western Front. There wasn't much conflict there, and so the war didn't feel real to them until their parents headed westward for a business trip. During that time, the Western Front was broken through, and Luculia's parents were killed in the battle. Spencer blames himself for this, and after being discharged, he spends all his time drinking himself stupid. Even though Violet fails her initial course, she works with Luculia to write a letter to Spencer, through which Luculia is able to convey how happy she is that her brother is still alive. Spencer, in turn, realizes how foolish he's been, and the siblings venture to the top of Leiden's bell tower like they did as kids. Considering this a massive success, Luculia shows the letter to her teacher, allowing Violet to get certified after the fact. Although most Auto Memories dolls tend to retire after getting married, Luculia is determined to keep at it as a wife. Their teacher happens to be Rhodanthe, a serious woman who bluntly calls out her students' mistakes. This isn't to stretch her ego, but rather to genuinely ensure that her dolls can perform wonderful deeds to the world. She notes how talented Violet is at typing fast, but that alone isn't enough. Thankfully, she knows a good letter when she sees one, and even recommends Violet for certain jobs in the future. One of these jobs is for Irma Felice, an opera singer who commissions Violet to write the lyrics of her latest production's main theme, a song called Love Letter. Given the nature of this job, Violet has a hard time, as love is the main thing she wants to understand the most. She spends time with Irma, learning that the love of her life, Hugo, went off to war and never returned home. Both she and Hugo's father, Aldo, write this play for those also suffering the loss of their loved ones. Upon reading plenty of undelivered letters, words that can never reach their recipients, Violet is finally able to write a song about feeling a person's warmth after they're gone. Irma's real-life experience, paired with amazing lyrics, make for one hell of a show. War claims countless lives, each one leaving behind those they love. An especially tragic case is Aiden Field, a soldier fighting against extremists who want to bring back the war. On a whim, not knowing what to do with his cash, he chooses to hire an Auto Memories doll so he can write letters to his parents and lover Maria. He has no idea that Violet, braver than the average doll, would actually come visit him in the combat zone. She finds him after he's been fatally wounded and comforts him in his dying moments. After memorizing his last words, Violet puts them to paper and delivers them personally. Maria is Aiden's childhood friend from the countryside. She confessed to him just before his deployment, and as such, the two of them never got to be a couple for very long. Without so much as a kiss goodbye, he was sent off to battle, so of course she's devastated to learn from Violet about his death. Nobody should ever have to face this sort of tragedy, certainly not over political disputes. I want to end this video with a tribute to Olivia Webster. She's the daughter of playwright Oscar Webster. Oscar's wife died of a disease that causes blood clots, and unfortunately, that same illness passed to his daughter. Oscar stayed by Olivia for the rest of her short life, jumping from hospital to hospital with no success. Luckily, she died peacefully, but it left Oscar miserable in his mourning. He resorted to alcohol, struggling to finish writing an incomplete children's story he used to read to Olivia. Violet gets hired on to help, but her presence just brings him more grief. Ultimately, though, Oscar is reminded of a moment where his daughter, holding a parasol, promised she could fly across a nearby lake by hopping on leaves. Hoping to inspire Oscar, Violet attempts this very same thing at his mansion, reigniting his desire to give the story a happy ending. Goddamn this show! It always turns me into a teary mess. May Olivia and her legacy live on as a wonderful, platonic, honorary waifu. With that, we've covered a whopping 22 waifu from this legendary anime. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. If you have, consider checking out my full Waifu Files playlist for more exciting episodes. Feel free to comment which anime or games you want to see in a future episode. See you later!
Thanks for watching.
If you enjoy this channel, help us grow by liking, commenting, sharing the video, subscribing to OtakuDaiKun, and
Most of all, smashing that notification bell so you don't miss out on all our anime lore, discussions, and Let's Play content.
you can support us directly through Patreon, Subscribestar, or a YouTube membership, all of which come with benefits like spicy exclusive vids and early access.
As always, celebrate your fandom. I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters: Video Gamer 75, Dante Pendragon, WurgGX, Chaos Sonic 1, Steven Elak, Otaku Mom, Jens Bauman, Mystic Samurai 1983, Freebrick, Olympian Doll, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Lunar Works, Link Pendrago, Observer Bellis, James Hewitt, Uncanny EXP, Crow Calum, Saul Soto, Scout, Tristan Riggin, Major, Mayfu Mado, Caitlin P, Sogai CH, Vladimir Rovna, The Taz 96, Jonathan Padua, Kengo X77, Hersha of E-Rated Hands, Alistair Bernadotte, and Akakaze Yume. Thank you all so much.